Good morning, Mr. Three. How you doing? Have a seat. Good. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. So the last time you were here, we were talking about your job and the issues you were having with that. Do you want to discuss that today, or
Yes.
tell me what's going on and what's happening?
Well, when I first started there, I started there as a temporary position, and I didn't actually start in the position that I wanted, but I just accepted what they had for the time being, figuring, once I got an opportunity, I could show them what I could do in
Mhm.
the position that I actually was looking for, and kind of go from there. So after I've been working there for quite some time, one guy quit, and I kind of stepped up in the role and, kind of showed him that I knew how to operate the machines and, you know, kind of trying to show him my experience in it. And I did that for about a week or so. And then they hired someone else, and I went back to the old position. So then they got rid of the guy. They fired the guy. And again, I stepped in and, took over, filled in, and then they hired someone else and I went back to my old position. So, it started getting kind of frustrating because, I mean, they could evidently see that I could do the job and, knew what I was doing. So I couldn't understand why they wouldn't offer me the position when, I was already there. Because the job that I was doing, it would have been much easier to fill that position because it didn't take a whole lot of skill or special talent or anything.
Mhm.
It's just kind of like a entry level position.
Okay, so you began the position as a temporary employee,
Yeah,
and you feel that they're putting you back and forth in the position when there's a hole, but they're not giving you the position full time.
exactly. And I mean, it's kind of frustrating because I mean, it kind of made me wonder then, why are they not? I mean, because at this time I had been there for, months.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't like, I had only been there a couple weeks or whatever. So they saw my work ethic, my work habit that I was coming to work on time and, so with me knowing how to do the job, but they wasn't giving it to me, it kind of had me frustrated and, I mean, I kind of debated a few times, about just leaving altogether.
So how long was your contract with the temporary service?
Well, actually, that's the funny thing because most temporary services, they have a cap on the
Mhm.
number of hours that you have to work through them.
Okay.
And I can't remember exactly how many hours it was, but that was another thing. Once I finished the hours, they still didn't hire me on full time right away. Um, it still lingered on, and I asked them about it, and they said, well, it's a lengthy progress, or well, we can't actually hire anyone right now. It's going to be more time. So that kind of dragged on for a while, and kind of during that time, a new, I guess, manager per se came
Okay.
in, and which I thought would be beneficial for me, being is he was new, so he didn't really know what had been going on. So to talk to him and got to know him for a while, and I'm sure that somebody kind of filled him in a little bit on you know what had been how everything was going and whatnot. So again, somebody left and I filled in, and I mean, it started getting to the point where, once you've been overlooked for something for so long, you kind of lose interest in, you know, basically like, if you don't care, why should I? That's the attitude that I was beginning to have.
Right, so you were working in a full-time position as a temporary employee. Did you ever take the time to call a meeting between the temporary manager and the full-time manager to see if there was a possibility of you coming on full-time?
Well, as I say, I mean, I asked to, I didn't call a meeting with them together, but I talked to the guy, temporary agency,
Mhm.
in which, they don't have any control over that, because basically, I mean, to them, the longer you stay on with them, the
Okay,
more money they make,
gotcha.
so,
I understand that.
I mean, to them, they're not in no hurry for you to be
Okay.
hired on full time. And so when I discussed it with the actual manager there, as I said, he was like, well, either, I guess because of the time of year or the money situation or whatever, they couldn't hire nobody right then, or, I mean, it was always an excuse.
Okay.
And so I had like they called him a lead man, but I mean, he didn't know how to operate the machines or anybody. It was just somebody who was there because the actual building that I worked in was not the main building, so it was only a few people in the building that I worked in. The main building was probably about 5 miles away,
Okay.
and so I guess so. Actually, when I talked to the manager about the lead person, he explained to me, well, he's not really a lead person. He's just somebody that we have in that space. And so what I gathered from it, it was just somebody that could tell them what was, you know, basically what was going on. I mean, basically their eyes over there. But, when I asked him, he said he wasn't basically a lead person.
Okay, so what you're saying is the person that was supervising you was not actually your supervisor. He was just a filler in place of.
Yes, he was just
Okay.
basically eyes in that building.
I can do it. Okay.
And, but he didn't think that. I mean, he thought that he was a supervisor.
Okay.
So once the manager told me that, then I figured that I would relay any problems I had directly to him versus because me and him was kind of bumping heads and um, it's kind of hard to take direction from a person who don't know what you are supposed to be doing in the first place, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So what I'm gathering you're saying is you couldn't get a direct answer from the acting supervisor, so you felt the need to go over his head and speak to the actual
No.
plant, the supervisor of your plant.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened after that?
I mean, like I said, I just kind of started relaying everything through him, and so I mean, it got a little better, but at the same time, I was still stuck in this position that I really didn't want to be doing. And so, as time went on, we had quite a few changes um, internally, as far as employees. I mean, it was kind of, I guess, kind of a big turnover with employees. Like,
Okay.
I mean, every 3 to 4 months, somebody was leaving for one reason or other, either quitting or getting fired or whatever the case may be. And as I say, I'm still ticking along, doing my job, coming in on time, doing what I could, still trying to impress them because I really liked the job. The atmosphere was great. As I say, there was only maybe 5 to 8 people at the most there at any given time. And, you know, I like that aspect of it because I don't like micromanagement. You
Okay,
know, I feel as if, you know your job and, you know what you're expected to do on a day-to-day basis,
okay,
that I don't feel the need for micromanagement. I think that that really just deters people from doing the job that they're supposed to do. I mean, you know, we're all grown, you know,
right,
so if you give me a task to do and I know what I'm supposed to do, then I do my job. You leave me alone. I do get my work done and go home, you know.
okay,
But, you know, to me with micromanagement, you know, you got somebody always coming looking over your shoulder, seeing what you're doing. I mean, to me it kind of, it just kind of agitates me, you know.
okay.
So I like that aspect of the job. So that's why I was, trying to, make my mark there, get into the position that I actually want.
Okay. So you like your job, you like what you do. The fact that they're not you don't like the part of micromanaging it, and you're not really getting along with the lead person. Is that what I'm gathering from this?
Well, the lead person, we actually don't get along, but he was, I guess, kind of trying to micromanage, but at the same time, it was just him there.
Okay.
Some places you have two or three different
Right.
supervisors, two or three different lead people,
Right.
and that was the aspect I liked of it because it wasn't a whole lot of people that I had to deal with.
Okay.
So, but I mean, besides that, yeah, I liked the job, I liked the work that I was doing, and so on and so forth.
How many hours would you have to put in with the temp service? I know you signed a contract properly.
Yes,
So what
and
was the total amount of hours that you would have to give in order to be considered for full-time for a position there possibly?
well, I think I mean, to be hired on full time, it was it was something crazy, but what it mounted up to was about a year,
Wow.
which I did. I mean, I didn't really pay that any attention when I took the job,
Right.
because I mean, before I took the position, I was working through another temp service at another company that I absolutely hated. So I was just trying to get out of there. And so when I
Right.
interviewed there, I liked the setup and it was clean. And like I said, it wasn't a whole lot of people
Okay.
in the building. So I was just trying to, get out of that situation. And, I felt like, by the time I figured out, how many hours it would be before I got out on it permanently, I had already took the job. And so, I mean, and that wasn't a big issue. My biggest issue was being looked over for the position that I actually applied for.
Okay.
Because when I went to apply for the job, they knew that I wanted the position of the CNC machine operator.
Mhm.
And they said that they didn't have an opening at that time, but this is what they had, which led me to believe that, once something came available, then they would put me in a position that I actually, applied for.
So you worked a year, no benefits, no regular full-time person increments like PTO time, vacation time, but you still work the position.
Yes, and I mean through the temporary service, I mean once you get so many hours, they had like a kind of like a package.
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't be as
It wouldn't have been
good
as, it would have been if you were on the company full-time.
yeah, it wouldn't be as
Okay.
good as that, but I mean they had something in place so that you would start getting paid for your holidays and things of that nature. And like I say, but that was like I think before then, before you start getting paid for holidays, it was probably 6 to 8 months or something like
Wow,
that. Yeah.
that's still a long time.
And so you understand that I felt like I had, did my due diligence. And as I said, and every time somebody left or got fired or whatever, I stepped up
Stepped
into
up
the
to-
role, and
Okay.
and I felt as if though that, that should have showed
Meant something.
them, yes, that should have showed them that, hey, why are we looking for somebody
And you
on
already
the
have somebody
outside
in
if we have
house.
somebody here?
Okay.
So, that went on for a while, and
Okay.
so after the new manager came in and, I got to know him for a while and everything, and I know that he actually saw my drive and, you know, saw my work ethic, and I think it, I think he really paid attention to it. I think it really meant something to him. So, one afternoon he came in and called me into the office and basically, told me that, they had this position, if I was interested. Um, but it came with strings
What
because,
kind of strings?
well, the guy that had left at this point, I was working first shift from, I go in at 5 and get off at 1:30,
Okay.
which I totally love my hours
Right.
because
Yep.
the traffic was great,
You
nobody
probably
on
built
the
your
road.
family life around those hours.
Yes, and I mean,
Okay.
nobody's on the road at 5 in the
Right.
morning, and when I get off at 1:30, either everybody at work or,
It's good hours.
so, and then I had built, as you say, my family life around that, and,
Okay.
so, I mean, it was great hours, I loved hours and everything, and so the guy that they were looking on replacing in the position that they was wanting to give me, well, it was a second shift position,
Okay.
which their second shift would still be considered like a split shift because I would go in at, I think that I went in at like 12:30 and got off at like 9 or something.
12:30 in the afternoon.
Yes, to
Okay.
9. And so, I mean, which was still good hours,
Right.
but totally opposite of what I had been doing. So, on second shift, it was only like two people in the building.
Wow.
And, so the person that they were looking for, and I think that's what actually made them want to go ahead on and put me in the position because they didn't want to hire anybody from the outside
Mm-hmm.
and then trusting them having to,
Retrain or.
well, actually being comfortable with leaving them in the building alone.
Oh, okay. I understand.
I mean, and I had been there for over a year, so I mean,
So you knew the routine.
yeah, but it would be kind of rough to hire a person and they're new, and then you putting them in not alone the job that they have to do, but then having to shut everything down, go through the procedure of shutting everything down and locking the building up and turning
Right.
on the alarm system and so I mean, that took a little bit, it was a more demanding role, like if it was more responsibility, I mean, because if I was to leave and not lock the door, then, that's on me.
Okay.
So, and I think that that's what really made them offer me the position anyway, which I was like, okay, so those are the stipulations that they had. Well, we'll give you this position if you change shifts.
Hmm.
And so I said, well, of course, I told him that I had to speak to my wife about it, and so that we could go over it, to make sure that the hours would work, with my home life as well.
Right.
And I, I thought about it for a while, but then I also had stipulations. If I take this position, then you don't have to have me on full time.
Okay.
I'm not doing it as a temporary person. I mean, if I'm gonna take on this responsibility, then I feel as if though
Then you need to
I
be
should
compensated.
yeah.
Right.
And of course it came with a raise and
Okay.
everything. So, and like I said, that was something that I had to think about. And, still in the back of my mind, I'm still like, well, if it wasn't a need for this person to be on the second shift to lock everything up and answer the phones and everything on top of this, would they have still offered me the position? but it was just stuck in the back of my mind. But that's what I had been there for, and that's what I was looking for. So I initially went ahead and accepted the offer.
So you were offered a full-time position on second shift, but you still held doubt because you felt they only hired you and put you on second shift because there wasn't no one else to fill the position?
But I thought that it was because of, as I say, the extra responsibility, the extra role
Right.
that went into it because they didn't have anybody else that they could have took from first shift to put on second.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm sure that they didn't want to hire a new person and just leave them there in the building, pretty much by themselves because the only other person that was there would be doing the job that I was doing before that position. So, and that was just basically for some because the one person can't be there alone.
Okay. So let's change gears for a second. Tell me how your relationship was with your coworkers, the ones that you work with. I know you said you had a few on day shift and some on only another one on night shift.
Yeah, just
The day shift ones, apparently with the schedule you're telling me, their hours kind of drifted a little bit into your hours, maybe an hour or so. So
Yeah.
how was your relationship with
Once
your
I took the
coworkers?
position,
Right.
then yes, we would be there like maybe an hour, two at the most together.
Okay.
And which and another thing I liked about the hours as well because the so-called lead man was on first shift.
Okay.
So as I said, we had been having a few little technical difficulties, if you will. So I mean that was beneficial as well because I wouldn't have to deal with him.
Okay.
And my other coworkers, I mean, we all got along pretty well.
Okay.
Except for we had one lady over there. She was just basically there to be a snitch. She told everything that everybody did. I mean, nobody, and I think she took a journal so that,
Wow.
so that when she had a meeting that she could, remember everything. But I mean, which I wasn't concerned about. I mean, I still talk to her. I mean, it didn't matter because I didn't do anything to be worried about.
So you had a job that you felt you had issues with one coworker and your lead guy.
Yes.
All right. Have you ever tried to have a conversation with the two of them, sitting down and speaking like you and I are speaking about the issues or your concerns?
I mean, yes, I spoke with, and like I say, the one coworker. I mean, it wasn't really an issue. It was just her nature.
Mhm.
So I mean, it didn't bother me any about that. But with the lead man, yes, I spoke with him. I mean, I sat down with him, just me and him, and then I sat down, me, him, and the manager.
Okay.
And so basically, I mean, you can't change his, uh, tiger stripes. And I mean, so with me taking on this new job and going to another shift, then that just kind of took that out of the equation altogether. So I was only there with him maybe an hour, 2 hours out of the day. So
Okay.
I mean, that was a plus to taking the job as well. So fast forward after I took the position and started working, it was sometime months later. I mean, everything's going pretty well. And I always, and it's just a kind of something that I do. I normally always document everything that I do.
So you keep a journal as well then?
Yes,
Okay.
on the work
What do you
that I
do?
do.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, kind of CYA.
Okay.
Because we
Gotcha.
ask. So
Okay.
I mean, but I would always, kind of write down what I ran, how many parts I ran, if I had to do any kind of service to the machines or anything. I just kept a log
Mhm.
which I think everybody should do.
Good idea.
And I just kept a log of everything that I did just for my personal,
Okay.
for my personal use. And so I mean everything was going pretty well for quite a while. I mean, I didn't really have any issues or anything. But then I noticed that the manager he started coming over more, like during the first shift. He started coming over, and sometimes he would be there when I got to work, and I'm sure that they had had a meeting or whatever the case may have been. So I didn't know what I was missing or what they were
So
talking
you weren't
about.
privy to what they were,
What
the
they
meeting was
were
about.
discussing. Of course, when I come in, they say, "Well, I just came over for this or that," but I had no way of knowing that. But I mean, as I say, I still just go about my way because I knew I was I came in, I did my job, and
Okay.
So
So you felt that you were doing the job that you were hired for,
yeah,
and you didn't feel that there was an issue with.
I mean no, because I mean nobody ever came to me and said it was an issue or whatever. And so at this point, as I said, I don't work every day. I didn't take any days off. I mean, unless it was pre-planned vacation time or something like that. But just to call in, I never did.
Okay.
And I know a lot of coworkers did a lot.
Right.
So I had a situation where I had to go out of town.
Okay.
And it wasn't actually spared a moment. And I had let my manager know, and he said, okay, fine, just he told me just, which I wasn't taking vacation, but he said, fill out the vacation slip and send it over, and I will, I said, well, no, I'm not taking vacation time. He said, no, just fill it out and send it over so that it will remind me to put it on my calendar that you're not going to be here this particular day. And so I did, and it was about, I don't know if it was even a week before I was, supposed to take off and go or whatnot, that the so-called lead man said that, well, our vacation time had been canceled. I said, okay, fine, because I didn't take the vacation day. I was just basically letting them know that I wasn't going to be there.
Well, that would have been considered unauthorized.
Unauthorized.
As you were going to take it either whether they
Well,
time out. It was approved. Verbally, was it approved, or was it approved in writing?
Well, no, verbally, I told. Well, it was kind of like one of those things that I'm not gonna be here.
Right.
It wasn't like I was saying, well, can I have this day off?
You were basically telling them you're not gonna be here.
I have something that I got to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna be here. And he said, fine. Okay. Because as I said, I never laid out of work. I never called in. So he said, fine. So when they come back and said that vacation time had been canceled, I didn't feel as if they were
that included you.
Yes, because I was just basically letting them know that I wasn't going to be here on this particular day, so that if they wanted to have somebody to come from first shift to cover my shift, and then they can make arrangements. Because I feel like, letting people know in advance is, always the best. I mean, because if it was me, I mean, I would rather for you to come to me and tell me that you're not going to be here on a particular day versus you just calling in saying I'm not going to be here. Okay. And, I was basically trying to look out for the consideration of the other person that worked on the same shift with me. So that if there wasn't going to be nobody there to cover the shift, then either they could go in on first or they could, or they knew not to come in that day,
Okay. So present day, where are you now with the team leader the peer powering you now?
Well, now, I mean, I'm kind of, I kind of, excuse me, I kind of, after all that happened, then it became an issue. Um, they said something about it, and I told them the same way I just told you what happened. And then all of a sudden, it started coming up saying that parts were being damaged and things of that nature. And I felt as if though they were trying to find things to
Do you
try
think
to.
you're being sabotaged?
Oh, of course I know I was because as I told you, I kept a journal.
Mm.
And as when they called me to the main building to the office and they had all these parts out on the desk and they asked me what happened. I said, I don't know. You asked the person who ran it. And they said you ran it. And I pulled out my log and showed him everything that I had ran. So at that point, it was just kind of, okay, I need to start, looking for something else. So that's kind of where I am now. I mean, I'm just kind of at the point where I just feel like, I don't want to be anywhere where I'm not wanted.
All right. So I think this would be a good stopping point for us now, and we will have you back in a few weeks. So you set a appointment with my receptionist out front, and we'll pick up where we left off the
Well,
next
so do
time.
you think I should just quit or? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Well, we
it was
all
nice
gotta
talking
live.
to you.
We all gotta live.
Yes, we do.
All right, sir. Nice to see you again.
All right.
Good luck with
Nice to see
everything.
you too.
All right.
And I look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right.